believe we are live. Are we?
What? You didn't count down.
Where's it at? Did it start? Oh, yes, it did start. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little rusty at this. Sorry. I was just trying to make sure we were actually on. We're on. We're on. Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
press it, so I was trying to make sure I was live. Y'all, oh my gosh. Hello. Hi, world. Hey, twisted people. It's your girl. I don't even have an intro thing. I normally have an intro countdown. It's been so long since I used this program to be on here, but I am happy to be on here. It's your girl, Chauncey K. Robinson, Twisted CKR. And y'all, it's been crazy out in the world and here. Hey, Felix, how's it going? Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
And we're gonna be talking about Evil season 3. Oh my gosh, we're already on season 3. I feel like so much has happened, but we're still digging so much into the lore of this show. And I think that's a great thing when you get to season 3 of a show and you think there's still so much to uncover. It just like gives you so much excitement to see where they go. And hopefully Paramount sticks behind the show and keeps it going because we love Evil here. And when I say we, I mean me and my beautiful, where I get my looks from, my mama, Wakanda forever, Karen Robinson. My mom, my mom, she's been on top of it more than I have because she was actually ahead of me in watching the show. So we're actually going to talk about episodes 1 through 3 today, but we will touch on some parts of episode 4 because I know some of y'all might have watched episode 4, and so I don't want y'all to think y'all can't bring it up. So you can bring it up. It's not a spoiler to us. I can go more in depth about episode 1 and 3 because that's the ones I watched. My mom watched episode 4. I know what happens in episode 4, just to make sure nothing was like contradicted in episode 1 through 3, because so much has happened, and some really good stuff has happened in the season thus far. And so we're going to talk about all of that. I hope all of you who are joining us tonight or watching the replay are having a great time. And staying safe out there. As you probably noticed, the YouTube channel has been a little quiet. For a couple of weeks, I was mainly on Twitch because I was playing games over there, and I still am doing Twitch as well. But in the last 2 or so weeks, I've been kind of off the internet grid because y'all, I had caught the Rona, the zombie, our modern day zombie plague. I got bit somehow. And so I was out of commission. Luckily, I had mild symptoms. And so, as you can see, I'm here. God bless, God willing. And so is my mama. And so I'm feeling a lot better, y'all. And thank you to everyone, because I did post it in the community page. And also, if you sometimes don't see updates from me, I am also on Twitter as Miss Chauncey KR, MSCHAUNCEYKR, where I sometimes post updates. And I just appreciate all the well wishes that I got to feel better. It was something I had been able to avoid for the last 2 years. And I mean, there's a rampant thing going on. I won't talk too much about it because I know YouTube kind of is very strict about when people talk about it, for fear of, false information, which is, a rightful fear to have with disinformation that goes on in the world. But I would just say, I hope we get past this at some point because it's not nice. And I will say this because I believe, as I should use my platform to say this, I am so glad that I was vaccinated and boosted because I can't imagine people going through that without it, because I felt like I had a really bad cold for the most part. But I know that was because I had been vaccinated and boosted. So not to get into any kind of politics with people or anything here, because I know that can be a divisive topic for some people, but I will say that. So I recommend it. But okay, we're going to go into Evil, as we talk about it. So what we want to do. I'm not since it's episodes 1 through 3 with some talk of 4. Don't worry, y'all. We're not gonna go through bit by bit of every single thing. I kind of want to talk about the bigger plot lines and some of the cases a little bit, because I did think the cases were very interesting. I think the cases that our wonderful team of investigators have been on have been really interesting thus far, and I really love how they've been able to incorporate pretty much each case into a bigger plot. Hey, Michael. Yeah, glad to see Michael again too. um, so yeah, so well, let's talk about, okay, so we want to talk about the overall. Let's compare it to season 2 thus far. I want to know what y'all think in the chat. Are you feeling it? Are you loving the show so far? Do you like this more than season 3? Are you still kind of on the fence about it versus season 3? So I'd love to know. Let me know. But yeah, lady, let's start with you. Of course, because you're my co-host here. I guess my first question is, what do you think of season 3 thus far in comparison to season 2? Like, do you feel like it's a different tone thus far? Do you think they're building off of season 2 nicely? Do you think it's a big kind of divergence from the season? What are your thoughts?
Okay. Now, in season 2, it ended good. Now, season 1, I felt that it started off kind of slow, but then when when it got near the end of the first episode, I said, "Oh, okay." And then I understand what you were saying, that certain things is coming to a head. And it is, because you see it, you see what they're up against. I think this episode is just about demons, because that's all you mostly saw.
Yeah.
But the overall was in this first, I guess I should say the first 3 thing, whatever, is demons and what what they're doing and everything. But it was good. I really got, I just felt like, okay, kind of slow here, and then near the end, it just, it picked up.
You thought season 2 was kind of slow, or you thought season 3 has been slow so far?
I thought season 3 was gonna be slow, but like I said, it shocked me near the end of the first episode. I said, okay, now they picked it up. It was really good.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Betty, how's it going? Yeah, we're here. We're back. We're covering it again. Me and my mama were covering Evil. Took a minute. I had wanted to start this. My mom was trying to get us to start like after episode 1 of season 3, but I everything was piled up, and then I caught the Rona, and it was a whole thing. But now we back, so we catching up. Y'all.
But it was good. Like I said, it was good. The overall, I just felt that it's getting better. I can see it's getting better at everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. I felt like, it's interesting. I had my issues with season 2. I felt like season 2 was I felt at times season 2 felt a little really intense in some moments, and then kind of like, okay, this episode kind of felt like a standalone episode. I didn't feel like everything was as connected. I think I talked about it in season 2. We had a couple of things that happened. Grandma Cheryl had more of a role in season 2, but it was a very mysterious role. Like, she was getting her blood transfused, and there was some weird stuff going on. A storyline that I am still very confused about how it even got to where it got to with Cheryl, even though she is still one of my fave characters on the show. And I will say that was such a confusing plot line, the way it was carried out last season. I enjoyed Kristen's kind of leap off of the cliff and then kind of coming back with the murder and everything. But once again, it kind of a little bit of season 2 felt, it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I mean, even Evil at its like not top game is still better than a lot of other television that's out there. I will give it that. But I felt like with season 2, it felt a little lopsided to me. And yeah, like Sabetti is saying in the chat, it felt like it was, we'll show it in the stream. Sabetty saying they kept leaving us hanging in season 2. And that was also my issue with season 2. I felt like we start a lot of stuff got started, and then they'd kind of drop it, and it'd be like, okay, are we going back to that? Like, and then you'd be like, okay, maybe we're not going back to that. So, and I know sometimes that's a plot device to get you to kind of forget about something. So when it comes back, it's like, oh, I forgot about that. Wow. And they've honestly, funny enough, they've done that in season 3 this season with certain characters that we forgot about that I was asking about in season 2 that now we have an update on, and we'll talk about that. I will say I enjoy the tone. No, not the tone. I enjoy the pace of season 3 a bit more. Like you said, Ma, they came out of the gate with stuff. They kind of set the tone for where we were going to be at from the beginning of the first episode. And it kind of threw us for a loop in some of the cases, which we'll talk about future plots. And I just felt like the episodes thus far have really packed consistent punches. And I also appreciate how everything seems like it's very much connecting to each other, because I felt like that was the issue in season 2. Great episodes in season 2, but there were times when you wondered if anything was connecting. And maybe that's our shortcoming when it comes to watching television in general, where we as people who watch TV, we just kind of expect that the next episode is going to build off of the next episode and so on and so forth. And Evil is such a unique show that maybe it was kind of challenging us not to look at it that way. But I am glad that they maybe kind of understood that they needed season 3 to be a little bit more cohesive. So it's nice to see stuff coming through. And Sabetty is pointing out, I feel like season 3 is something big is coming. And I agree with that. I definitely feel like they're building up with so many plots that's going on. So let's talk about, we're going to talk about a few of the things that are happening that we see thus far in season 3. And let us know in the chat, y'all, if y'all got specific questions. I'm sure we're probably going to come to the plot lines that you're thinking about too. But the first and foremost, we got to talk about it, is David and Kristen. You know, season 2 ended. Now, I think me and my mom are on we're still 2 different teams probably. I am someone, I ship David and Kristen. I see the potential. I think they have really great potential. I also, though, think that they are a couple that they both need to go through a journey before they totally get together. And I was a little worried at the end of season 2 because I thought, oh no, they jumped the shark. They've made it so they slept together, and that's just going to be so much guilt on them that it may taint the relationship from here on out. But I was pleasantly surprised, but also creeped out, because this wouldn't be evil if we weren't creeped out, right? I was also creeped out that it turns out they make you think in the beginning that they stop because David saw the cross things and she leaves, but then they make you think she came back. But then you find out it wasn't her that came back. It was something that came back. Maybe it was, you know, who knows? Because that's all. And I love how they've done that. They always make me question when people show up to David's room of whether or not they're real. I always wonder, anytime someone shows up in his room before he does, and I don't know why this man does not lock his door. He never locks his door. People are always in his room before he is. And so anytime someone shows up to David's room, I was like, are they real or are they not? Because they always have me questioning. And we find out that that's not real Kristen. Why he's fantasizing about her with a spiked tongue, or maybe he's not fantasizing her. Maybe someone sent something of her to him. But we also saw that there was some nun in the room at the end of the first episode who was missing an eye. And I was just like, what? While he was sleeping with not real Kristen. So what are your thoughts, Ma? And let me know in the chat, y'all. What are your thoughts about the David Kristen situation? Now, I want them to get together eventually, because I do think at some point David's going to leave the priesthood. I don't see him staying in it. But I do think he needs some time to kind of grapple with where faith lies in his life and how he can be an asset without necessarily being a priest. But I am also glad they didn't jump the shark and have them sleep together at the end of season 2. So what are your thoughts about that whole situation thus far?
I was happy about, especially when they started, and then he told her to stop, and she left. But then when she came back, I said, "Nah, that can't be her," because they show where she is at home, and you're like, "Oh, okay." And then you realize, especially when all the words that came out of her mouth, he go, "Okay, this can't be her." And he kept saying, but then what got me is that, "Okay, we just do it one more time. One time. I mean, one time. I mean, how can you tell? We're gonna do it one time. That's all."
I think the thought process was they were going to get it out of their system.
Yeah.
But we all know how that works.
Yeah, right. But but it was good. I like the way they did that, especially I was so glad that he didn't really sleep with Kristen.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think it means that there's some demon like entity coming to him? And yes, the Betty, did you see it? I don't know. Did y'all catch that? At the end of the episode, I said there was a one-eyed. Y'all didn't see that at the end of the episode.
I didn't see it.
You gotta go back and watch it, y'all. I can't believe y'all didn't catch that. Y'all gotta watch every frame in Evil because
they
be throwing stuff at you, and I'm telling y'all, this is the first show because I usually don't really believe in sometimes rewatching episodes. Sometimes, unless I just want to relive a show, but like to have to catch, I feel like Evil is one of those shows you have to rewatch to catch the little things, because at the end of episode 1, when fake Kristen, demon Kristen is climbing on bed and he starts sleeping with her, he moves his head to see who's behind her standing in the corner. And standing behind her in the corner is a nun with an eye patch on. Yeah.
I didn't see
it was so weird. I didn't know what was happening, but that person was standing there. I was like, what does that mean? I was like, this is of course Evil, because I have no idea
that was watch that again.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. I'm telling y'all, I didn't hallucinate like David does. There was a one-eyed woman there, and I was like, why is there a one-eyed nun standing in the corner? See, Felix saw her. See, Felix, you saw her. Felix
saw her. Okay, Felix. I'm not saying if you didn't. Maybe I just didn't catch it.
And the question is, who is that? Who is that person?
Somebody said future sister Andrea.
So Betty's saying future sister Andrea. I don't know. It didn't look like sister Andrea. And sister Andrea doesn't dress like that. It looked weird. It was somebody weird. They didn't see. I don't think they had glasses on. She just had an eye. Like, it wasn't even an eye patch. It was like they had just had a freshly packed wound, like a bandage over their eye as they watched from the corner. It was so weird. And I was just like, it's the nun that died. What nun was it? Was there a nun in season 2 that died? Oh, do you mean the nun who died in that contraption to measure the soul? That wouldn't make sense though, would it? Because her eye, wasn't nothing wrong with her eye when she got brought in. Yeah, I don't know. I have to, okay, now you're going to make me watch it for a third time, because I don't think that was that nun. Because there was nothing on that nun's eye when she was put in the capsule. But Felix is saying that it was the nun. And then the question, either way, it's like, why is someone standing in the corner of David's room? Like, what is happening?
David got all kinds of demons always in his room.
He don't ever lock his door. You would think at this point he'd start throwing some holy water on the something, or on the door or something. He never seems to do that. I don't know about y'all. If I kept getting demons visiting me and things I didn't know just hanging up in my room,
I would bless that room.
I would start saging. Like I would start saging. I'd be like, listen, stop coming up in here uninvited.
Leave.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Okay, I'll have to rewatch it, Felix. You may be right, but
I have to watch it.
I'm thrown off because the nun that died in the capsule in the first episode, I don't remember her having an eye patch. So I'm wondering why this nun that was standing in the room had the eye patch. So I'll have to watch that.
Different one.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, David needs to wear his rosary beads, or he needs to do something, because they be coming up in there unannounced every time he lay down. And that's another thing. If I come in my room and every time I'm in there, someone's in there I don't know, I'm going to look in that corner from here on out. He just be rolling in his room. I'm like, yo, how many times have you had intruders that you do not look around your room before you lay down at this point? Like, what is happening, David? I just think that's really, really ridiculous on his part, to be honest. So yeah, with David and Kristen, I don't know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the replay. Do you see them as a couple at some point in the show's history? Or are you kind of like, I kind of hope they never go there, because I feel like the show's building them up, but they're doing it in a very, I think, interesting way. Like I said, I'm glad that they didn't jump the shark and having them sleep together. Because I do think they have to deal with the Andy situation, which we'll talk about in a second. Kristen's husband, and also, David's thing in the priesthood, which he seems to already be bored by, which is kind of crazy that he's already bored being a regular priest. And I think that speaks to whether or not he will stay a priest, in my opinion. So let us know your thoughts on that. I wanted to get a picture up of David and Kristen for a second. But while I'm looking for that, Mom, speaking of David and Kristen, let's talk about Andy. Andy came back in episode 1, and I was surprised. I wasn't pleasantly surprised, because I like the character. I don't dislike him. I know some of it is my bias because I want David and Kristen to be together. I just think Andy's something of a foil. But it was interesting that he showed up and he was gonna stay. What and then the whole thing with Cheryl and everything. What did you think about that? Like, and then in episode 2, I think it was, he ends up leaving. he ended up leaving because Cheryl made that happen, right? She sent Trigon, Edward Trigorin, to pose as a millionaire who wanted to buy the business because he was trying to get Cheryl to leave. And also, while Andy was there, he found something under their bed, which I'm pretty sure Cheryl put there, and it was some type of human head. Yeah. And then he flushed it down the toilet, and now the pipes are all messed up. Now, what threw me off about that is he did not once mention that to Kristen. He seemingly did not mention that to Kristen. Like, oh, hey, there was something under our bed and it looked like a human head. I'm wondering if you put it under there or something. Like, he never asked her, how did this end up in here? He never asked anyone in the house.
And the kid and the girl that was the oldest girl that was with, she said, well, Mom, Dad found this and, poured it down. So, I don't get that.
And they never... Because it's funny when it comes to the family, there's times when they're doing really good stuff and subverting where you think the story is going to go with them. But then there's moments like this, and he never mentions to her, hey, it looked like a human skull head, and I broke it up and it flushed down the toilet, and it's probably what's messing with the pipes. Why does he never mention this? Like, what? So what did you think about that whole thing of Andy coming back? Sabetti is saying Andy and Kristen have zero communication. Why wouldn't he talk to her about her mom and shrunken head? Exactly. Now, I don't know if Andy figured it was Cheryl that had the shrunken head. I know he did talk to her about wanting her to leave, but you're right, Sabetti, he never talked to her about why he wanted her to leave. But it was just like, I'm tired of your mom being here. But it wasn't like, I'm tired of your mom being here because I think she's in the occult. And she's doing crazy.
Yeah, but when he went in her room looking for he saw the demon, remember?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. He never mentions that to Kristen.
He never mentioned. He just said, I just want your mother to go. And then when she came in, he said, I don't know what the hell you doing that,
But I want you gone, yeah.
I want you gone.
And Felix makes a good point. He might have been afraid that she put it in there and didn't want to know. Are you saying that he was afraid that Cheryl put it in there, Felix, or that Kristen put it in there? I could see him being worried that it was something to do with Kristen, because I think he does sense that there's something going on with her. And I think he's so afraid to confront what's going on with Kristen that he may be turning a willful blind eye to it. So that might be, but my thing is, Kristen, and so my thing with that is, why leave again? I know you need more money, but why not just admit to your wife and say, listen, I don't think I should leave again, because I'm going to be real with you. I found a shrunken head under the bed. And stuff is weird here. And I think I should stay close to the family and I can find a job and we'll figure it out. Instead, it was like, okay, that's a lot of money. I should go for 3 months. After you found a shrunken head under your bed, you think it's still cool to leave for 3 months? Like, what? Like, what's going on? Exactly, Sabetty. How could he leave her after seeing all that? I just don't, it didn't make sense to me. But I think if we're to understand Andy's character a little bit, I do think he has a willful ignorance to the situation. I think part of the reason why he travels the way he does is because maybe he can't admit that the lifestyle he wants isn't the lifestyle he has with a wife and kids at home. And maybe it's just like he's trying to do that, but he still can't. And it's kind of wearing on him. But they never really talk about it.
But I'm not getting the point of getting that house fixed or doing something. Why can't he just find another house?
Well,
they're building onto that. I'm like, I'm thinking like, okay, if you get all this money, why can't y'all just find another house? Y'all still, that don't make no sense. You just build. I don't get it. I'm sorry. You could buy you another house.
All that money, yeah. $85,000, they could have probably sold the house, but that's a lot of uprooting, right? The kids are already, what if they can't find it in the same neighborhood? Then all the kids have to adjust to a new school. That's a lot of uprooting, I think. So I kind of understand. And they probably like the house, right? Only thing is that she wanted another bedroom, a bigger bedroom, and another bathroom, because all of them share one bathroom.
Over that house. The train is over. I don't get that.
I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying, though.
And then the mother, she go, well, I'm not too far from it. Well, your mother found a house quick.
Right? They probably, Yeah. I wanted to show the picture of David and evil Kristen.
Yeah. I didn't like that. Do you know, mostly when that was going on, I just said,
Yeah, because it just seemed a little dirty. But I think they did that on purpose to make it seem dirty. Because I think the real David and Kristen, it would be sweeter than that. I think they'd be more loving to each other because they are really close friends. And I think they did want to kind of show the contrast of whatever this Kristen is that is messing with David's head. That's not Kristen. That what it is more filthy. And it's not as, good and stuff like that. Sabetty is asking, do you think there's something significant about their living so close to the train? I don't know. I have a thought on that. I'll let my mom answer first. Mom, do you think there's something significant with them living close to the train?
I didn't see. Well, now that you brought up, not really. I just figured they just had to find something cheap, and that was it. And over the train was just there. You just had to take that. That's like a plane flying over your head. You take it because it's cheap.
Yeah. I think I'll dig a little deeper. I think it does represent the chaos in Kristen's life a little bit, because you notice the train always tends to come in when stuff is just hectic. And it's like, and on top of everything else, there's a train over our heads. And I think that kind of represents at times the franticness, the erraticness that Christians sometimes feel. I know when the train does come to the house, I always feel a little with them when I'm watching, because I'm like, oh, it's so chaotic, and I can't imagine. And it was so great to hear Kristen kind of say to Andy, like, it's very hard being a single mom, because she's got these, we love the daughters. I am still of the mind. And
they all talk the same.
I will say, I consistently like all the child characters. And that is, y'all know, if you know me, I tend to not like kid characters in shows and movies. I cannot stand them. I usually think they're written crappy. And I can still say that I am still fully enjoying all of the kids, all of the girls in this show, and where they're going with them. And that just is a sign of great writing, because I think it's hard to make kids likable sometimes, and without making them just kind of be things that kind of are foils to get the adults in you know, and we'll talk about the kids and Leland in a little bit. But yeah, I think like you said, like everybody saying in the chat, I think it represents the chaos in Kristen's life, that kind of unsteadiness that she's always in. And maybe we might see, bringing up what my mom just said, maybe we might see if she does end up moving. Maybe she ends up moving like in the 4th season or something to a more quiet neighborhood to kind of represent a new leaf in her life where she has a little bit more peace, inner peace going on. Because I do think that train kind of represents the chaos inside of Kristen. I think that's what it's used for. In the practical sense, I also think it was just a more affordable place for them to get. But I also think, you know, I also appreciated that Kristen has a working class job, in the sense, because she was like, I get paid $60,000. Because, you know, sometimes, and that's not like something to scoff at. That's a pretty, you know, $50,000 to $60,000 is, you know, pretty decent. I mean, it's kind of hard when you got like 4 kids, though. For a single person, it'd be pretty good. But I love the fact that sometimes you have these TV shows where all the characters are just already rich, and, you know, there's not really a lot of relatability with that, with some of the characters. Huh?
Wait.
No, I'm not. I'm saying she's not rich. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I like the fact that she has a working class salary. Now, her salary is nothing to scoff at, because we do know in the United States, the average home with 2 adults is poverty levels. It's like $20,000 to $25,000 with 2 adults and kids. So that's the average in America, because America has a wealth and class issue. But I ain't gonna get up on my soapbox right now.
Yeah, but but they own a business.
They do. So that's the extra money, because they have 2 parents. I was just saying, it was just a little aside about Kristen being a woman who has like a decent paying job of $60K in benefits, and not being some person who has like, oh, I get $300,000 and I want another bathroom. It's like, no, they're practical. They have kids. They're working class, and I really
because
that.
Then she stopped going out with him after, you know, that, because she was doing the tours too.
Yeah,
taking people up, climbing people up the mountains. So they figured he would do it, and then after so many years, they would sell the business and everything. And I understood that, but what I didn't understand, you know, you wanted him to go. That's. I don't think that, you know. I was hoping that he would say no. She pushed it, but see, her mother knew she wanted. You know, don't worry, Kristen will put him there.
Well, she said it, and I don't think it's a negative towards Kristen. Kristen, like her mom said, Kristen's the practical one. She'll see that it's a big amount of $800,000. Yes. That's a lot of money when you're a working class mother trying to take care of 4 girls, and on top of everything else, yourself. So yeah, it made a lot of sense. But I like that was presented in such a natural way of, yeah, you would take that. Now, if they were already rich and everything,
they went through everything. Remember, she said, and she was adding up the money and everything, just saying, yeah, you know, if you take this job, we could do this and this,
and we'd have a little bit more cushion money. Because I think what this show tends to do, it does talk about social issues as well. And let's be real, money can't buy happiness, but it can take a lot of problems off of your plate that are caused by lack of money. So I like the fact, I'm just pointing out that I like the fact that the characters are connected to that. I think that's really good, that they're all working class individuals just trying to make their way in the midst of this. Because sometimes with shows like this, you get someone who's like some vampire who's been alive for 7,000 years. And so, you know, he's got millions of dollars and doesn't have to have a job and stuff like that. And that's fine. But it's kind of nice that they have practical things that they worry about and they think about. Hey, Dev, thanks for joining, and thank you. Yeah, I went redhead. I've gone redhead. I stopped with I tried the brown in between the blonde, and I'm settled on the redhead for a while. Although I am a color addict in those regards, so who knows? I might try something else in some other time, but I'm liking my red hair, the fieriness, but thank you for that. So Betty is saying maybe the house is on Hellmouth. It could be.
Yeah, that's
what happens there. I think David's room is on Hellmouth because the amount of demons he always gets visiting him, to be honest.
You know what else we didn't touch on?
Well, we're getting there, but with who?
Okay. Well, in episode 1, that's when we meet the other guy from the was it episode 1? No, was that
Which one?
no, that was episode 2 when he came in. The guy from the Vatican.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, we're getting to that as well. Okay, so we talked about David and Kristen, and once again, let me know in the chat and also in the replay, y'all, if y'all love the fact that they didn't have David and the real Christian actually sleep together. If you still are shipping them, or if you never ship them, I am shipping them, and I am. And I think they should get together once David and her go through what they need to go through, like maybe season 6. Okay, so and we talked about Andy. You know, Andy left and he came back, and then he left again. So now he's not there, and he never once talked to Kristen about what he found under the bed, and now it's stuck in the pipes, which is crazy to me. And now Andy's gone. I want Andy. My thing with Andy is I want Andy to stick around so him and Kristen can finally have a real conversation about their marriage. Because I think every time he leaves, they're never around each other long enough to really deal with the fact that they got problems. Like, she has essentially fallen in love with another man. Like, let's be real. Kristen is in love with David. David is in love with Kristen. And I feel like we saw in season 2, the only thing that was keeping them apart in Kristen's mind, if she was really being honest, because she let it slip, is that he was trying to be a priest. So you wonder if he wasn't, would she have left her husband, right? So I just feel like I want Andy to stay around, mainly because I want them to finally just address it. Because every time he leaves, they never address it. But I do worry that now if he's going to be gone for 3 months, do you think that Cheryl's going to try something to have him like die on a cliff or something?
That's how I think it too.
You think she's gonna have Andy killed?
Yeah, because when she was saying, I said she's gonna try to kill that man.
Do you think they'd go that far? Let me know in the chat, y'all. Do you think Cheryl's gonna try to get them to kill Andy while he's away? I don't want him to die off screen. I think that'd be a cop out. I don't want him to die before him and Kristen have a real talk about their marriage and stuff. So I don't want that to happen, but I could see that being a way of tying that up. What do you think, lady?
Well, I just had how when he was talking to him, I said she's gonna try to get him. Okay, she wanted him out, and the guy's with it, but you see where he's at. I think so. I think they might end up trying to kill him.
I think it would be a cop out if it ends up
being going up a mountain and he's got to lead them. Come on.
Yeah.
So this is what, and she really wanted him out the way.
Yeah, Felix is saying she's going to have him handicapped. I could see that. Like, maybe she does something like make him end up getting in such a bad accident that he ends up in a coma. You know what I mean? Like, not a coma, or just like a vegetative state or something. So like, or maybe really like bound to a wheelchair or something. So that gives her a reason to have to be around or something like that. Something. I could definitely see something happening to him. I don't see them going as far as to kill him off, because like I said, I think it would be a cop out. But this is the thing, I don't want him to get hurt badly either, because if he gets hurt badly, I feel that's another reason why Kristen is going to guilt herself to stay married. Because if he comes back with broken legs or a spine or something, then we can just say she ain't never going to leave the guy, even though she clearly isn't in love with him anymore, And so I'm like, don't do that either. Don't put him in a situation where she feels compelled to have to stay. Because right now it's okay because he doesn't stay around, but you can only do this plot line of them clearly having these issues with their marriage and her being in love with another man, but for so long. You know what I mean? Deb is saying their marriage needs closure. We need closure after watching all their marriage issues. Exactly. I agree. I don't want him dying off screen. I want them to deal with it, Svetty is saying, I wonder how much of Cheryl's behavior is truly her own. We need Cheryl to stop those infusions. That too. But the thing is, she kind of started going to those infusions of her own accord. Well, after the first one, she went back for it. So
I'm still trying to figure
maybe.
what the hell is their fusion her
And
with.
that was the thing about season 2. They never really explained what that was. I guess
You
it was
never
infusion with
did.
demon blood or something. I don't know. But that was where we were at with that. But speaking of David and all that stuff with Kristen, it looks like David has a plot line where he might be having to be something of a priest secret agent. Now, the Friends of the Vatican, right? I forgot what the guy's name was that visited him actually, but he visits him, and you know that happened. What was it? In season 2, episode 2, it happened. And once again, I was worried that the guy wasn't real. I'm like, is this just a manifestation because David's very bored with being a regular priest? So this guy comes up and makes him think he's doing stuff. But it seems like he's real because Monsieur, their supervisor, noted that
Yeah.
like he was there. So I'm glad they did that because I was wondering if he was actually real or not, or if David was hallucinating someone again, making himself go on wild goose chases to give himself some type of, detective thing because, as we saw in episode 2, he's a little bored, right? He's a little bored what's with the regular day to day. He's hearing confessions about dishwashers and stuff like that. And I can see how that feels because I feel like David feels in a way that, he got into the priesthood because he saw something bigger than himself, right? He's sacrificing intimacy, he's sacrificing all these things. And it's kind of like, if I'm doing this, am I doing this just to listen to people talk about like mundane stuff, or am I doing this because there's something bigger I'm supposed to be doing? Now, I will say, I think him and Kristen and Ben doing what they do, you would think that would be exciting enough for him because they do have some pretty exciting stuff. But I guess when they're not on investigations, he feels like all the other stuff is a little too mundane. And so we had this thing where the Friends of the Vatican come in, and they seem to be like a Secret Service Vatican group of people. And there's some espionage going on. I have my thoughts about this plot line and where it could be leading because we did see a mention of Grace. I think her last name is Ling, but the wonderful character that helped David in
Yeah,
I
the
think it was
first
season
woman.
2, and when he was stuck in the hospital. That was one of my favorite episodes, the episode she was in, and the power that she had in helping him, Grace. And then she ended up disappearing and getting deported. It was a whole thing. They didn't get a chance to save her. She got deported. They lost track of her. And I was quite disappointed in season 2, not as a whole, but for that particular plot line, because I was like, did they forget about Grace? You had this really powerful, perhaps prophet or some sort, and now she's not around. What? So it was really great after David has been doing some of his missions to get the connection that is actually connected to Grace. So that was really great to hear. But Ma, what do you think about the whole idea of him being part of this Friends of the Vatican espionage plot line and kind of keeping it from Kristen and Ben and stuff too?
When he first offered him that, I was hoping that he was going to say no.
Why?
Well, because when he told him that he couldn't tell Kristen and them, he couldn't even talk to the Monsieur. Is that him? The Monsieur?
Monsieur, yeah.
Yeah, couldn't tell her anything. So he lied to him when the Monsieur asked him, "I see what's in there. Have he approached you?" And he said, "No."
Yeah.
And I felt like, now see that I felt kind of bad because you lied to the man that gave you a start and everything, but they told him that you couldn't tell him, and I understood that. And then when he started running out on Kristen, even they'd start noticing, like, have you noticed he been acting kind of strange? Which is true. He would leave them when they're on a case.
Mm-hmm.
See how he left them on that case? He said, "I'll be right back," and then he left.
Yeah.
But that was the part. But I did understand that part when he told him to go to the hotel, give the man his last rites,
Yeah.
and take something.
well, to take the postcard and what that had to do with. And I'm glad what I will say is I'm glad that didn't end up being something that gets drawn out for like most of the season of what the purpose of what David is doing. Because that's what I will say, when this first started in episode 2, I was worried. I was like, oh no, is this going to be a way that David's off doing his own thing again? Because I felt like some of the issues I had with season 2 also was I felt like because David was going through his question of faith, he didn't get a chance to hang out with Kristen and Ben as much. And I like them as a dynamic trio. I just think they have such great chemistry together. And I was worried. I was like, oh my gosh, this whole thing is going to give him another whole plot line that has him away from them. And when I saw that he kept leaving missions, I was like, oh no, like this is going to be like him separated again. And I don't like that. I like when they're all three together for the most part. And so, but I will say, once it was revealed what they were having him do, such as the fact that they knew where Grace was and the Friends of the Vatican were actually trying to save Grace, or at least that's what he told David. And I have no reason to think that he was, needs to be lying to him. Because why come to him if he didn't think that he would be able to do it? I was happier about the plot line because I was like, okay, this is connected. This isn't some one-off plot that's separate and apart and going to open up a whole new can of worms that has nothing to do with anything we've been dealing with in season 1 or 2. So I was happy that was not the case. But I do want that I hope that it doesn't go on the whole season, that he doesn't eventually tell Kristen and Ben, even if he's not supposed to, because I just think it would suck if they don't know. If anything, Kristen and Ben should be brought into it to help, like they help him do this stuff. So why not bring the three of them into the fold to be friends of the Vatican as well? I don't think all the people in the Vatican who are friends of the Vatican are priests. Because I don't think that guy is a priest who recruited David. So it's like, you could bring Ben and Kristen in, but then again, and I do like the fact that they pointed out that like what David does for the priesthood is like fight evil that's paranormal, and what the Friends of the Vatican do is fight evil that's man-made. I thought that was really important because some of the worst evils that we know in our world, of course, is man-made. We're dealing with it right now. There's so much stuff going on in the world that's very scary. And a lot of it is due to the actions of man. And so I like the fact that they were making that connection to say, now you're fighting on both ends of the spectrum in this regard. And that's just as important. So I thought that was good because I was a little hesitant about this plot line. I'm like, I want, because like we were all saying, I think in season 2, we wanted more supernatural stuff. We wanted more overt things. And we'll talk about whether or not we're getting that so far this season, but we wanted more overt stuff. We didn't want just, oh, this is happening, but is it happening at the end of every episode, right? Because that was what they were doing in season 2. They made you always kind of think, well, it could be supernatural, but maybe it's not. And it'd be like, okay, come on. Is it supernatural or not? Let's make a decision.
Especially with Ben.
Exactly. And we'll talk about Ben because that's a whole thing too. So but I also understand that they're kind of making the approach to say it's both sides of it, and it's
right, scientifically and supernaturally.
Yeah, so I appreciated that. So Betty is saying the Vatican cannot manipulate David as easily if Ben and Kristen are there. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying with that too. So Betty, you're kind of thinking if they corner him by himself, he'll make decisions that could be questionable because he won't be able to confer with Kristen and Ben on it. I can see that. I can definitely see that. They probably also know Kristen is a murderer. So they're probably like, okay, this lady's a loose cannon. So maybe we don't want her, on it. And Ben's a non-believer. So I do think Friends of the Vatican have to sort of be believers in a certain regard too. So there's that as well. Although I'm trying to remember, did they cover up Didn't Friends of the Vatican cover up something at one time? I think what were they the ones that covered something up? Someone talked to some of them and bribed them and got them to kind of retract their story.
That fertilizer hospital or something like that. He told David to stay out of it.
Yeah, certain things, they're just very secretive. So I do definitely think it's going to be something where we can't completely trust the Friends of the Vatican. I just don't want it to descend
I
into
wouldn't
a
trust him
whole
either. That's why I felt
thing.
that he should have said no.
But if he had said no, then he would have never known that they were looking for Grace.
I know, but then, like I said, there's a twist to that in some way.
Yeah. So are you saying you don't trust them?
I don't trust them.
Okay. Let us know in the chat.
Wait. Let me take that thing.
Do y'all trust them or not?
It's not the part of trusting them. It's just that, okay, since they letting David in on everything, and he's not sure what he's doing in a sense.
Yeah.
And he don't know, like when the woman called him out. Well, I'm skipping over, but we'll wait till you ask more questions. But I think that I would have trusted Vatican, though.
So you're saying the Friends of the Vatican, you wouldn't have trusted them?
Wow. Now, which one is the friend? Okay, what got me?
Friends of the Vatican are the people who do the extra legal stuff. That's not always completely legal.
So that would be the guy that came to ask him to join the Vatican.
That's him. And they're kind of this whole network of people who make sure to protect, I guess, faith and things like that in their own way of what they think. And we found out in episode 4. No, not episode 4. We found out episode 2. Was it 3? It was 2 or 3 that it's Grace that they were trying to look for.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing that David found that out, because how else was he supposed to know? Because they kind of stopped mentioning her, which I felt was kind of crazy. I was like, what happened with Grace? She was like this powerful medium, and they just kind of...
When he asked him, what else did he give you? He said, he just gave me a tip. And that's when he gave him the money, and whatever he wrote on there, he said, good job. Then, that's
so we
when
know it has something to do.
Doing.
Yeah, so we know it has something to do with Grace, which is really good. But like you said, we'll have to see if we actually trust them or not, because maybe we shouldn't trust them. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of double cross or whatever. Maybe David finds something out and they ask him to turn the other cheek, and that's just ridiculous. So we'll see where that goes. I'm just glad. I'm optimistic about this plot line, this subplot for David thus far. I wasn't as optimistic initially because I was like, no, this is going to take him away from stuff. I want him part of the main plot line. But I think if they're going to have this connect to the main plot line, I'm fine with it.
Because I think Kristen took over a house.
What are you talking about?
She took over one of the houses that they're all trying to get rid of. I think Kristen took over a house.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. You know the map that he was going through? Did you see the map?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. You remember the maps that they had? And on every map, it had like a symbol of everything.
Mm-hmm. Because that was from season 2. They had that map from season 2, right? Yeah.
I believe Kristen took over a house. Like the guy when he took over his house. Kristen.
Oh, a house. You're talking about a demon house.
A demon house. I think she got a demon house now.
Does she have a symbol on her? Because I'm going by episode 1 through 3. Did that happen in episode 4 that she has a symbol on her now?
No, because when he started,
people who take over a house have a symbol on them.
Yeah, but I think she do have a symbol, but I don't know what house she took over. Because she had somebody.
Kristen?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Cheryl?
Cheryl.
Okay, so you were confusing me because I thought you were saying Kristen.
Cheryl, her mama.
Okay, you're saying she took over a house. I do agree with you because she was supposed to be
over a house.
Edward Trigongoran's. She was supposed to be his successor. So I can see how that could be a thing, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I think she have her a house, and everyone that they're trying to knock off, like the like he was saying, he crossed out a lot of them, and then he said, well, you know, and every time when David and them saw a symbol,
Yeah,
even
because
though,
David's dad also has a symbol.
yeah, even though Ben kept saying that's not a symbol, Ben is funny. That's all I can say. Ben is like, but he knew what he saw down that toilet. I don't care what anybody said
Well,
when
he
he was
saw an
down
eye, and then he was like, "Nah, this is too weird. I can't explain any of this."
there.
And speaking of Ben, because I'll talk about Cheryl after Ben. Let's talk about Ben for a moment here. I'm gonna bring a picture up of our dynamic duo who we love so much. Where is it? Did I just have a picture? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Because we love them. Our dynamic duo, including Ben, of course. So Ben is having a little bit of a crisis of, it's not a crisis of conscience. It's what one of the girls called it, which is, a D something that was very studious. That's probably real. But basically, his whole thing is that he believes in science. And what they've been dealing with probably since the end of season 2, because we know he had that whole thing at the end of season 2 where he thought he was going to die. And it was a whole thing like that. And he was seeing his mom and things like that. And then we had, the whole thing with his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. We don't even know if they're still dating.
Because because they never bring her up. They didn't even bring her
Well,
up.
they did bring her up though in episode 2. His sister brought her up. And was like, yeah, I know you had the whole thing with your girlfriend who was a double, and it's just been throwing you off because you couldn't explain that. And Ben is having kind of a crisis of conscience, right? Because he can't explain things like he has normally been able to, and that's really throwing him off because he doesn't know how to deal with that, right? He's always been able to kind of explain some stuff, but because there are things he can't explain, it's throwing him off. And I really do love this plot line for him. I'm glad that they're not making it so he's like descending into something like it's a negative, because I'm glad that by him going to the secret society of nerds, and I love that they're bringing in his sister. I love her as a character too. So I'm really glad that they're working together. So it's always great seeing another woman of color on a mainstream show. We love that. We love to see it. And so they have a really great dynamic with each other. And I think what I appreciate about Ben is he kind of represents the kind of philosophical debate within the show, right? He kind of represents the question of faith and facts. I don't want to say faith versus facts, because faith doesn't have to be put against facts all the time, but there's a belief that it needs to. So I did appreciate that his sister even talked about it. She was like, when they were at the secret nerd thing, she was like, the thing about science, if you respect science, you respect that science also tells us we don't know everything, and that sometimes there are things that we're not going to know. And his sister is also religious. So her thing is saying she believes God doesn't put anything out there that can't be solved. And I loved that. I loved that saying that she had, where she was like, I don't think God puts anything out here that we can't solve, anything that we can't figure out, that we can't try to figure what it is. And I feel like that's a very can-do attitude, because I feel like, and I love that she's kind of also representing a philosophical approach, because I feel like they all have their philosophical approaches, right? Christian is kind of like chaos. David is all faith. And then you have Ben, who's all science. And now you have, I think her name's Sarmina. Sarmina is his sister's name. I'll get it right for the next one. But the sister, Ben's sister, I feel like what she represents is the idea of saying it doesn't have to be one or the other. You just have to believe that there is an explanation, even if you don't know the explanation, and kind of being accepting of that, which is a whole different viewpoint. And I think that's such an interesting thing that they've done there, because some shows can make you think that it's kind of the age-old, either this person is faith-based or this person is all science, and never the two shall meet, or they're always bump heads. And I love that they've introduced another aspect of, well, actually, there's another way of thinking about this. And I love that character, Ben's sister, is playing more of a pivotal role in that. So, I like that she's going to be helping out more because she's just as smart. And I guess my question to you, Ma, what do you think about that they put that idea out there? Ben is questioning stuff, but it seems like they're going with a healthy way of him going about it, where it's like, okay, my sister made a point that, maybe I can't explain it right now, but there might be an explanation. What do you think about that?
Do I think that is a good thing or a bad thing?
What do you think about that philosophical question that the show has put forth regarding it? The question of faith. Like, which side do you lay on? Are you more of the faith base? Are you more of a middle ground approach, like Sarmina is? I'm gonna guess, just because you're my mama and I know you, that you're not all on Ben's side of just science, because we pray and things like that. So, and we do the faith thing.
I would take it on the faith thing, but I understand what she's saying too. I mean, I'm open minded. I understand what she was saying too. It could go both ways.
Yeah.
But if I had to go, I would say my faith.
Yeah. The main thing of the faith. I think the show does a really good job of kind of balancing it out, where no one's completely wrong. Maybe Kristen. Kristen's just chaotic. I love her. That's no shade. Well, that's a little shade to Kristen, but I say that
she's trying to prove that woman is strong, and I understand
and I get it, and I love it. I say this with so much jest, in the sense of how I go at Kristen sometimes, because I have seen some shows that have made me totally dislike the main female character sometimes, because they just have them fall into these tropes that are just And I can honestly say Evil has not done that. And as crazy and as chaotic as Kristen is, I still thoroughly enjoy her as a character. When her solo plots, all of it, with her kids, which we'll talk about in a bit, she's amazing. She's just also chaotic, and she needs a lot of help. So that's all I'm saying. So Betty's saying, I did like that they added that perspective. Yeah, exactly. I would say for myself, I lean more towards Sarmina's attitude towards it, because I am y'all hear me on some of my streams and my videos and things like that. I say God willing. I say God bless. I pray a lot. I pray often, things like that. And I do believe in that. But I am also someone who believes that God has given us things to help ourselves, as well. I'm not one of those people who are just like, well, I have no control over anything. Because you also have the idea of Sister Andrea, who we'll talk about in a second, who's all about the faith, to the point where it's almost kind of like, I don't want to say it's a helplessness, but she's so about the hardcore faith that at times it comes off a little bit like, if you ain't feeling faith, you're going to have to deal with the devil. You're just going to hell, kind of a perspective. David's a little bit more gentle about it, right? But I like Sharmina's thing, because she's someone who is a scientist, but she does have faith in a way. And I definitely identify with that as someone who appreciates science, but I am someone who believes science is a factor that helps us explore what God has given us. That's the way I look at science. That the thing about science is not necessarily, it's finding answers about things that are there, but in a way of not saying like that takes away everything else. So that's my perspective. So I'm really glad to see that they kind of introduced that in a way, because sometimes it's presented that you either have to be either or. And so I like that as well. So Betty is saying, I lean towards the faith side too, but the science side needs to be considered at the same time. Both are valuable. Exactly. So I liked what Ben's sister adds to that, because, she has the faith, but she also believes in the science, I think we've been blessed with so much wonder and mystery in the world. It's our own playland if we can, that we've been given to explore, by the grace. So I think that was a cool addition to that we're seeing. Speaking of the kids, let's talk a little bit about the kids. I do want to talk about Kristen's daughters a little bit. I'm still liking them. Let me know if y'all are kind of annoyed with them yet. I'm not annoyed with them. I think we've gotten used to the fact that they talk as much as they do. I think it's actually cute at this point because it's been built so much into the show. Once again, adding to that chaos that is Kristen. I loved the fact that they knew it was Leland on the game. I love that.
No, that was the best part.
I because I was worried in the first episode that they were gonna have her fall for that, and I was like, no, can we not do this again? Like, she needs her kids are smart, Kristen, and that's why I like their characters, because her daughters are smart. They have their own personalities and lives in a way. And so I was a little worried they were gonna have her fall for this game or whatever with him. And so it was so great to see that they trolled him so hard. And she was like, oh, it's Leland. Like, he's trying to fool me, and I'm just letting him know. And it just shows how much Leland underestimates the intelligence of these girls and things like that. And the intelligence of a lot of people, which shows that Leland is not some omnipotent kind of person, of course, right? So I thought that was great. I got a real kick out of the fact that wasn't going to be a long drawn out plot. I was a little worried it was going to be a long drawn out plot line. I was like, oh, we're going to have to deal with episodes of her getting more and more into the game and not wanting to talk to anybody.
But the other girls joined the game too.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because, one, I do play a lot of mobile app games and stuff like that. Like, they had like in Star Valley, and like it's very much a play, I think, on Animal. What's that? What's the name of the game? Not Animal House. That's a movie. You know what I'm talking about, right? Animal Island. What's the name of it? Where you take care of animals. I don't play it, so I don't remember the game. I play a lot of puzzle games on my phone. But it was kind of like that game where you become an animal and you're talking to people and building a home and stuff like that. So, something village, Animal Village. Now it's gonna bug me what that. If y'all know the name of that game, can y'all just tell me? I still have a little bit of brain fog from the Rona, y'all. Sorry. It's been hard to remember names and stuff. Not that I've ever been good with names to begin with. I'm just worse at it. Animal Farm. You the MVP, Savetti. I knew it was. I was like, Animal Kingdom, Farm Animal, Animal Farm. That's what it was. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, was that? Yeah, Animal Farm was a book. Animal Farm was a book. What was the name? Oh, now I gotta look it up. What is it? Oh my gosh. Ma, you don't know the name of this? You know what I'm talking about, though, right? That game? The game where you take care of animal, taking care of...
Oh, when you have to feed them and all like that, yeah. And they grow. I forgot the name of that one. We was playing that game, wasn't we?
Yeah. Like, right when the pandemic started, everyone was playing that game. Oh, man. What was it? Animal Crossing. That's what it was. Animal Crossing. And you're right, Betty. Animal Farm was a great book that dealt with socialism and communism and the question of the Soviet Union. I recommend it. But but yes, Animal Crossing. That's what it was. Oh my gosh. I actually had that on my phone for a little bit. I tried to get into it and I couldn't. I could not get into that game. It wasn't for me. But I like where it's going with the daughters. I love that they kind of subverted some stuff. I'm glad that Kristen was able to get the restraining order to get the one up on Leland, even though it got taken back or whatever. It's being investigated. But I love that they kind of played on the thing about the priesthood and like Kristen being like, yeah, because the priesthood never has a problem with what priests do to kids, right? So they had to be like, oh. Like, you're right. Sorry about that. So that was the whole thing. So let's talk about Cheryl. What are you thinking about Cheryl, Ma? What are you thinking about her plot line thus far? We can't see your beautiful face, lady. Turn towards the camera.
Oh, I think it's okay. But look, I like the part when she Okay, I understood what Leon was telling that, she said, but it's not real. He said they don't know, like with the crypt in the crypts.
Cryptocurrency. I love that that was a play on
I said,
cryptocurrency.
oh my God. I said, now it'll make you think, is that shit real?
Nah,
Anyway,
that's the whole issue with cryptocurrency because of the
yeah,
problems that is just based off of just thin air. I kind
yeah,
of love that they had that commentary.
yeah. He was saying that. He said, you have to sell so many, shares. And then he said, and then when those two young people said, just let us do our job or whatever, I like what she did.
Okay, boomer. What did you think? Did you feel personally insulted being called her being called a boomer?
Yeah. I said that
I
no.
thought that was so funny.
Yeah, I said no. She got there. So I said now I'm gonna cheer. I need her to get back at him.
Yeah, I wanted that too. I mean, even though I am a millennial, the dreaded millennial that she was having to deal with, I hate the whole generation gap like competition that they throw at all of us because I think we all need unity. We're all being exploited in some way. So I hate when they're like, "Oh, boomers messed it up for all the millennials," and I'm like, "Yeah, people made bad decisions and votes, but that doesn't mean everyone's not on the same side." So I just thought that was so funny, and I love that she got her gumption back. I love that she's the
Yeah,
head of the company now. I think that's so great. I'm like, okay, here's a good plot line for Cheryl. She's gonna be this troll of the internet. And I love that commentary about the internet, the doom scrolling. Um, the whole doom scrolling thing was so funny to me because I don't know if anybody else did. Let me know, y'all. I've doom scrolled before. When the pandemic first started, I found myself doom scrolling where I was on Twitter and I was just scrolling through so much bad things happening. And when you watch enough news, and I say this as a journalist myself, that's my full-time work. I am a journalist and a film critic. And so I'm involved in the news a lot. And it can be very hard because sometimes it always seems like it's bad news. And so the idea that Leland was like, listen, you got to make it so you influence people with a whole bunch of bad news so they feel completely helpless. And I'm
yeah,
like, is that not real commentary for our world, right? And I'm not one of those people. I mean, I wouldn't be as a journalist to say people shouldn't watch the news, but I will say, particularly the corporate media does have a tendency to to focus in on the sensational and the bad to the point where they don't give a road forward. And I guess this is a little plug to the publication I work with, People's World, where when we publish articles and we write articles, we are about trying to give people things they can do. If it's something bad, to give people reasons to combat what happened or something bad that happened, right? And so I thought that was really interesting that Cheryl's part of that and that they kind of made it seem like it's something the devil is a part of. The whole thing of misinformation and doom scrolling and making
yeah.
people feel um
Helpless.
helpless. So I love this new plot line for her. I love that she's the head of a company. I think this is much better for her than in season 2, where it just seemed like she was doing one-off bad things. I'm glad they gave her a stable place to go. So I'm actually excited to see, and I love that that influencer is back, the girl with the YouTube. I just love how they're using season 3 to come back to a lot of characters that we were already introduced to. Like Kristen, the woman, the wife of the serial killer that Kristen killed. They went to the house and talked to her,
Because
and
they
it's like
accuse her. Yeah.
and killed her husband. It's like, oh my gosh, I heard that. And you're like sitting in the house where you killed the guy. I just love all the callbacks. And I love that Cheryl's story is allowing that. So I'm really happy about this plot line. I think this is I'm on board for this particular plot line for Cheryl for sure. So Betty is saying, I'm Generation X, so I'm not in that fight. The funny thing about Generation X, they always like, I feel like when it comes to the boomers versus millennials, I always see that meme where Generation X is like, I'm not in it. Like Generation X is like, I got nothing to do with this. So it's always funny, but it's like Generation X gets stuff done too. we never really like hear about it sometimes, you know? I feel like y'all have done the good job of just like staying out of the drama as a generation, which is really funny to me. Okay, so we're winding it up, y'all. We've been going for an hour and 14 minutes. It's a bit hot. My mom's hot. She's blowing the fan because I mean we just got a lot of stuff to cover, but we're moving through. Let's talk about Sister Andrea. What are your feelings about Sister Andrea? I love that she's back with a vengeance. I love that she's seeing the demons. I totally believe that she's actually seeing demons. I love the thing about the sex demon. I was a little confused about the sex demon thing though, because 1 minute he was
small.
Small and seemingly getting defeated. And then when the couple gave into their more carnal desires of kind of S&M,
he just stayed.
He stayed. So I don't know if that was like a commentary on like sometimes people have to live with their demons, like maybe something like that. But it's weird because at first when the demon was around, he was doing stuff and it seemed like the demon didn't want them to be intimate. But then when they finally were intimate in the way that they were, the demon seemed to be okay with it. So I was confused on that. Was anybody else confused? Were you confused? Because I wasn't sure what was happening.
Because I figured once they got past that, he leaves. But it looked like he was joining them.
Yeah, and I'm like, did he want them to get to the point of being kind of, and I don't, this is the thing, because I'm like, I don't know if that's a good message, because that's kind of, it kind of kink shames too, right? Some people have kinks like that, you know, and no one, I'm not into kink shaming. If everyone's on board and you give them permission and you got a safe word, do you? So I didn't understand why, you know, if that was their desire and they're a married couple or whatever, that
you get a knife and tell him, I'll kill you if you don't.
Yeah, and I don't understand why the demon stayed around, because the demon even told Sister Andrea, leave us alone, we're happy together. But I'm like, well, why was the demon hurting them before? So what's happening here? Was the demon there to show them off?
Wait a minute, didn't you hear the demon say, I didn't do that?
Yeah, he was, I didn't do that. He's like, that's a food allergy. I got nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with it. But it was funny to me because now I'm like, was he telling the truth? Was the demon telling the truth? Maybe it was a food allergy. Maybe it wasn't him. And he was actually just waiting for them to get it on so that they could just kind of be together. Because maybe he was there because they needed help. So I was really weird. And like Betty's saying, the whole couple and I was weird. I'm not sure what that. Yeah, I just was confused about that. I wasn't sure what the point was. I mean, I know it put Sister Andrea back on Leland's radar. And I love that Kristen stood up for Sister Andrea. That was such a great moment where she didn't sell Sister Andrea out. And I love that because Sister Andrea called her doctor and she called her sister. They kind of came to an understanding. And I really appreciated that. Girl power for sure. So, you thought she was I was wondering that too. I was like, wait a minute, did the demon, like, did she like release something and the demon the whole time wanted the couple to like, wanted them to kill each other? But then I realized, oh, like this is a kink. They wanted to give into the kink and they felt bad about giving into the kink because there's not supposed to feel like that when it comes to marriage. You're supposed to be missionary all the time. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe that was what it was. Exactly. Maybe the demon got what he wanted. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, maybe it's a thing.
Because the sister didn't say nothing after he said, leave us alone. We're together.
Well, I think she was thrown off because she was like, is everything okay? Because she was like, this demon was supposed to be getting affected and now he's here. What's going on? So, I mean, maybe it's a question that Sister Andrea has to deal with for herself to kind of wonder, you know, maybe some people are okay with their demons. I mean, that's kind of metaphorically speaking, right? Some people are like, you know, what's that saying? You know, sometimes you live with your demons, you know? And maybe in this particular case, that's where we were. It was very confusing to me because the demon seemed like it was being affected and then other times it wasn't. So I was confused about what the demon wanted. It was a little weird. I do believe that Sister Andrea is really seeing demons though. It's very clear because that demon was there in bed. So the demon is there. Sister Andrea can see demons. And I feel like Sister Andrea And Kurt made an appearance in episode 1, which was great. The psychiatrist who had hurt his back. I love that he's back around. I hope we see more of him. And I love that they're talking more because he told Sister Andrea, I'm seeing these demons now. And it's all your fault, and it's a whole thing.
But what was with the part when he said it, she went up to him and said, boop?
Well, she was telling him, like, the demon's going to be around you now. Because I feel like she is aware that of the demon world. Like Sabetti is just pointing out here, she sees demons that Leland does not. And I think that's interesting too.
Yeah, because why don't Leland see?
Why doesn't Leland see the demons? Then again, I don't know where it was caught at, but Leland killed his goat demon that he was talking to. He killed him. And since then, he cooked him and ate him. And I thought what was interesting was since then, we haven't seen Leland talk to a demon figure, So I think that's interesting too. But we know and I do believe that Sister Andrea is really seeing demons. I don't think she's hallucinating. I think they've made it very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've made it very clear.
See, that's what David was saying. David was telling them when they said they was going to bring, he said, but isn't that what the church do? That we try, if she's gifted of seeing things, which is true. I understand that too. I mean, if she can see, she's gifted.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I love that ever since we've had the introduction of Sister Andrea, they've played on a little bit of this. And then other episodes, they've done this too. But with Sister Andrea in particular, they played on a little bit of the sexism, right? That can go on in the church.
Especially age and everything.
Yeah, the sexism and the ageism. Very rightly so, Mother. Where they talk about
when she said, I'm not going. Nope.
Yeah, that she's still capable. And also this idea that she's just supposed to be there to bring people their food and mop the floor. Like the nurses, that the nuns are glorified, maids as opposed to being faith leaders themselves. And I think that's a really important thing that they're showing with these episodes in a way that isn't clobbering us over the head with it, but also demonstrating it. As Felix is pointing out, I think the sex demon will be back later. See, I agree with you. I mean, the sex demon, first of all, the sex demon seems to be into Sister Andrea. I don't know what his thing is, but he really is enjoying her. And I just thought the sex demon was so funny. I'm wondering if it's the same guy that plays this demon that played our guy from the first season, the first demon. I think it's him. It looks like him. They probably have him playing different demons, and I love that because I thought he was so funny.
I like the part with his whole chin, when the whole chin fell off.
And he's still talking. He's like, we got business. And I'm like, I love it, But I think, I will say, yeah, I can see that, Felix. I can see him coming back, and I definitely think he's taken a liking to Sister Andrea. He even said, he was like, if you wanted to see me by yourself, you could have just, you know what I mean? I'm like, what's going on? Why is he into her? What is she like? Excuse me? It's just like, huh? And I would love to hear more of her background. Like, how did she get to this point that she sees demons the way she does? Because she even told David, she was like, what do you see? I see a pile of slime and things like that. And David's like, I don't see anything. And she's like, that's because you're not good as me. Like I actually am well aware of these things. So I'm excited for that plot line too, that Sister Andrea is playing more of a part in that. So I think we kind of went through all the major stuff. Was there any particular side plot or mission that the team has gone on that you've liked so far? I thought was really intriguing, Ma. Like from the thing of the people trying to weigh the soul to the truck driver in episode 4 to some other stuff. The demon that what is it? Waiting Charlie or something.
Oh, when they saw him in the in the house, and they said if you don't do this, you got to go through the things they was telling you to do.
Visiting Jack.
Yeah, visiting like Jack. That. But see, that's another thing too. Like what's name was Trump when he proved that there was this car going by.
That one, yeah, that was a scam, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, in no sense, as they put it.
Yeah, but was there a particular? Did you have a favorite episode thus far, or a favorite plot plot line or mission they went on thus far?
I think
And let me know in the chat, y'all, if y'all had any.
I don't know if everybody saw 4, but 4 was the best one.
You think episode 4 is best? So we'll talk about that one more next week with 4 and 5 for sure. When we can get back to talking about the episode specifically. For this one, I really wanted to kind of talk about like the overall, the bigger plots that are going on since these are the first 3 episodes. So they're saying we need answers on Eddie. Eddie was the original demon, right? Wasn't Eddie was that his name?
Oh no.
I think it was. Was it Eddie? I'm trying to remember who Eddie was. I'm just blanking on names. Yeah, what happened to him? If you're talking about the original demon, yeah, there's so many. And they're actually giving me hope that they are gonna be talking about a lot of these characters though, because season 3 seems to be the callback season where they're very much bringing back the people and the demons and all of that we met in season 1 and 2. So I'm loving that. My favorite mission, George was the one. That was the demon. And I can't remember what happened to George. Eddie the doll, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we stopped seeing Eddie the doll. This was like good points of Eddie. This was the issue of season 2, was it not? The fact that there were things they brought up, like the whole thing with the doll that was like draining the life energy and things like that. There were so many things they were bringing up, and then you just never see them again. And it was just like, okay, are we bringing Eddie back? You know, we bringing Eddie back. What happened to George? The guy that burned his wife and his pregnant wife because he thought an angel told him to do it. What happened with that? Was that a real angel that he was seeing that made him burn his wife? Like that, they had so many great missions in season 2. And that's the crazy thing. So many great missions, but they didn't, it would kind of just end in that episode and be like, wait a minute, that's it? You know what I mean?
But you see in that part 2, remember he was explaining like when he said he went to that club or whatever. He said, see, they made the angel. Because remember, David really thought it was an angel. It probably was an angel, but they try to make it seem like, see, they had this picture uploaded and they, transfer, and David looking at him like, and she said, you wanted to be the real angel. And he just looked at him like, yeah.
Yeah.
Fine, still,
But it's weird, right? Like, what happened with that? Are we going to see that angel again? Like, there were a lot of things that happened in season 2 with the episodes that they just kind of went to the next mission. There were so many missions in season 2. And now season 3 seems like it's going to be more cohesive in the sense that the missions all connect to each other, which I think is really good. And hopefully we'll get some callbacks to those missions in season 2.
Because always going to center around that map, everything that they did.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's definitely all leading back to that because it has to. Like, where were we going with that? We brought that up in season 2 about these demon houses, and it's like, who are these people trying to, take on? What is Leland's endgame, right? What are Leland and them endgame? We need to start figuring out what is Leland's endgame in all this.
What the hell Cheryl is shooting into her body?
Yeah, what is she trying to get? Like, what are they really up against? Like the whole thing about the baby stuff. I mean, David even tried to ask the friends of the Vatican about that. Like, y'all gonna talk about the thing with these babies of them trying to insert evil into kids? And he was like, we're not talking about that. That's irrelevant. And David's like, so you really ain't going to answer that. But I feel like at that moment, David was us, the audience, being like, yeah, what happened with the fertility stuff? I mean, one of Kristen's daughters has that thing in her.
Well, he got it.
Like she got these teeth growing and all this other stuff. Like, are we going to talk about that? What's good? Leland still wants to get at her. For what reason, right?
They want her.
Yeah, exactly. So we got to get back to that. Wonder if they want to take over New York. Maybe that could be a thing too. If they want to take over New York City, that would be interesting. And in what way, But yeah, for me, my favorite mission in terms of thinking about it so far has been the one about whether the soul has a weight to it. That was the first episode, but I really thought that was a very interesting thing, mainly because there's history there's real history of people trying to weigh the soul. And I do think it's such an interesting thing because scientists are still trying to figure out the human brain, right? We have still not been able to measure consciousness. It's not measurable. We know there's neurons firing and stuff in our brain, but in terms of consciousness, we have not been able to do that. And you know, whether however you see it, consciousness, the soul, and things like that, I thought that was a very interesting premise about, is the soul a separate thing and does it leave our body? So do we end up weighing less if matter can't be destroyed or created? What did you think about that, lady, about the whole thing, about the whole idea of the soul? I just thought that was such an interesting thing.
Yeah, but the man was dying, but he ended up not dying.
And I thought that was an interesting, and I love that actor, by the way. He is a fave actor of mine. He's in Clueless. He's been in so many good movies.
You're freezing on me. You froze on me?
Hold on. Sorry, guys. Think we lost everybody. Hey, sorry about that. It dropped us for a second. I also love that there was this sort of dynamic between him and the other priest, that they might have been in love. You know, that there was
that's the one that I said, oh,
that he had been denying himself and stuff like that, which was kind of a parallel to Kristen and David, which I thought was really good as well. So I love that. Princess Bride. That was what he was in as well, Sabeti. Very true. We love it. So I just love that whole. I think it was such a strong first episode, and I just loved what they were trying. I just love when they do their missions, how they always kind of present these questions of faith and the question of the world. And I thought that was such an interesting thing, the whole idea of consciousness, because that's something scientists have yet to really be able to figure out, of how to measure consciousness. We know we have it, right? You and I are talking, we have a mind, you know, we have y'all in the chat, which I'm so grateful for y'all being here and hanging out with us. We do things, and you know, I think it's hard to believe that all of that is just little bits and pieces from neurons, right? So what is that? Is it a soul? Is it consciousness? Can consciousness exist outside of our bodies? Some people believe this body we have is just a corporal vessel for our consciousness, and when it leaves, it goes up into wherever it goes and stuff. So I love that. That's my jam, stuff like that. So that was probably my favorite mission they've had thus far. But my mom's saying episode 4 is their favorite mission, which we'll get into next week, because we're trying to do this on Tuesdays, y'all. I know it's Wednesday today, but we're going to be trying to do it on Tuesdays. Because I'm going to try to get on trying to watch these episodes on time. Usually it's, just know that if it ain't Tuesday, it's Wednesday. for us here in these parts. But yeah, anything else you want to say? Anything you're looking forward to, lady? I love the new Demon pop-up book. I think Felix mentioned it earlier. They got a new pop-up book. I love that they always have a theme for the pop-up
I like
book.
that new one.
I love it. I think it's fun. I love the animation. I just really love the thought that goes into this show. They really do give this show so much great thought. So, any predictions? And let us know your predictions. Those of you in the chat and the replay, if you have any predictions, type it down below in the comment section if you're watching this as a replay, or in the chat. Do you have any predictions?
No, I really don't have no predictions right now.
So nothing. You don't. Do you think? Well, let me ask you. Do you think they're gonna find Grace this season?
Near the end, probably.
Near the end. Do you think they're gonna reveal what Leland and the endgame is?
I hope so, because I'm still trying to figure out. They got a fake company, and they got this fake, and people are really buying it. I said, you know what? And when I was looking at
cryptocurrency, I mean,
yeah, but I was looking at it when they said how influencers, help put, I said, this is true because people do things what other people say do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how her money was going. The thing was going up.
Yeah.
And I thought what was funny was with the girl. What did she do? She allergic to something?
She was allergic to what Cheryl put in there. I think pecan or something. And so that was Cheryl's way of showing her, I'll go through any lengths to get what I'm a crazy woman. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I love that Cheryl went up to her. I think Cheryl's going to end up being, for me, well, we'll look at, so Betty is saying Andy is going to lose his mind. I can see that. I can definitely see, I think something's going to happen to Andy. I definitely agree with you
Yeah.
that, so Betty. I think something's going to happen to Andy. I'm just not sure what. Like I said, as Deb and I agreed earlier, I just hope it's not killing him off screen or putting him in some soap opera coma for the next season. Let's not draw this out. Let's figure something out to do with this marriage and with his character. I will say my prediction is, I think my thought process is I don't know if we're gonna get a complete reveal about Leland and stuff. I don't know about that. I do think Cheryl's gonna emerge as a power player. You know, um, I do think Cheryl's gonna emerge as a power player. I definitely see that. So Betty's saying he's gonna piece out of that house. Yeah, probably, but I don't know. He might fight for his kids. You know, I that's what I was just saying, Savetti. Cheryl will become Leland's boss. I could see the evil powers that be, looking at Cheryl's gumption and her strategy and stuff, and making it so that Leland has to work for her. And I would love that. I like Leland as a character. I really do. I just think it would be a very interesting dynamic. So it's not that I don't want Leland around because I do like his character. I just think wouldn't it be so much more layers if Kristen has to end up going against her mother in that regard? Because let's be real here, there's something else that never happened yet. Kristen finding out that her mom is involved in all this stuff.
Yes.
Kristen still doesn't know that she's still dealing with Leland and all of that. And I'm telling y'all, I thought that was going to be revealed in season 2, and she still don't know. And I'm just like, so when is Kristen going to find out all this stuff about her mother? I think my prediction for this season is that Cheryl's going to become a bigger boss, and that Kristen's going to find out about her mom. That's the only ones I got in
And
terms
that's
of.
when they all end up trying to see where that's going, especially with David.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's the only predictions I got for this season. And I love the fact that I don't have a lot of predictions because I think it just shows that this show is so awesome that it keeps us on our feet for sure. But okay, y'all, we're clocking in an hour and a half, and we did a whole 3 episodes and plus a little bit of the 4th episode. So I think that's pretty good. We're going to take it down for now. I'm going to give my throat a rest as others have said. Thank you for your well wishes once again, y'all. In this whole Rona thing for me and stuff like that. Because I'm feeling much better. No symptoms like I was having there, but, it can take a lot out of you. So, just trying to pace my energy. But I love talking to you all. And I really wanted to talk evil with you all, and I miss doing this with my mama, so I'm so glad we're back at it, y'all, and I'm so glad you all are joining us. And yeah, we'll same bat channel, same bat place.
Yeah, maybe it'd be less cooler. It'd be more cooler.
Be cool. It's hot over there. She's in Jersey, y'all. It's hot over. It's humidity over there in Jersey, unlike here in California. We don't do it. It gets cooler for us when the sun goes down in Cali, but we appreciate you being on with us, lady.
I know.
Yeah. Your fans appreciate you. Wakanda forever. Um, so, okay, y'all. Till next time, if you got some more comments and you want to give your predictions, please let us know. We'll talk about it on the next stream. We're going to aim for Tuesday. For Tuesday, so that gives everyone Sunday and Monday to watch the episodes. Today it was Wednesday because I was running a bit behind it. It was the 4th of July weekend. But we're going to aim for Tuesdays for the streams, I think. But if not Tuesdays, Wednesdays. But I will, of course, put the reminder up so y'all know. Probably around the same time as now, though. Around this time. Betty, Thank you. So thank you. I make sure you pace yourself, and yes. We're gonna pace ourselves and definitely rest, because I'm someone who likes to push through stuff sometimes. But I told myself, I was like, I need to give myself the space so that I'm as good as I can to be, and not overwhelmed or whatever, and tired and things like that. So, okay, y'all, keep it twisted out there, keep it safe out there and healthy, and God bless, because we know we talk about faith on evil, and we believe it too, but also believe in science. Yeah, she had to saw that, right? She looked up in the air. She a sister Andrea, y'all. My mom's a sister Andrea. Uh, I'm Sarmina in this. But okay, y'all. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. We truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate it, and thank you for your well wishes. Yeah. Talk to y'all later. Have a great one.